Please open the studio chat. Yo. Yo, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's Octavio Blanco. And it's another episode of Uptown Voices. Glad to have everybody on the show today. It's a special show. We're super excited. Today, I'm here with my brother, Led Black. He's the voice of Uptown. What's up, Led? How are you doing? Before we get into our special guests, I want to hear from you. What's up?
Doing good, brother. Tell everyone to subscribe, and I'm really excited about this guest you were able to get for us. I think this is what we need to be talking about right now.
Yes, yes, yes. Before I let things progress any longer, I want to make sure that we know we're talking to Nick Valencia. Nick Valencia is a independent journalist. He's based out of Los Angeles and Atlanta, Georgia, but he's been incredible in covering the events that are happening, the historic and unprecedented events in this country that are happening all across the nation, with in regards to the ICE incursions in our communities. He's always first. He's always the one who gets us the information first. Whenever I'm on socials, and I follow him at Nick Valencia at Nick Valencia News on Instagram, and he's on Facebook, and he's on YouTube. Um, uh, Nick Valencia and I are former colleagues. We used to work together at CNN, but both of us have embarked in our in independent journalism. Nick, welcome to the show.
Oh, God bless you guys. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Nick, first of all, tell me, how are you doing? I appreciate that you're taking time off today from your family. I know that you're currently, hanging out with your people.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important keep those keep close to our families and our people. So we do appreciate you out here. Um, Guys, let's I want to tell me how are you doing, Nick? How are you doing?
I feel heavy, man. I woke up this morning feeling pretty heavy. I think first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having me, man. I'm really grateful to be here. Really grateful to tap into your audience. New York is a big demographic for us. A lot goes down in New York in terms of immigration. And, you probably have gone through this before yourself, Octavio, as a journalist. Our success, so hearing all the flowers that you're giving me, it sounds awesome, but I know that it's happening because people's worst days are unfolding. And the irony for a journalist always to celebrate their own individual success, to be able to amplify a message that needs to be out there. It's difficult because I know that the reason that that I'm getting traction right now is because there's a moment to meet and we're meeting the moment. And what we see happening out there right now, it's disgusting, man. It's so sad. And we live in this new world where it's like a tale of two realities. It's the reality that Trump and his administration has uh, contrived and sort of manufactured, and then it's what's really happening right now. And so that that has me feeling heavy most days. But the way I deal with that and the remedy for that is using my platform to speak up and speak out against what's happening.
Yeah, go ahead, Led.
Yeah, and I want to say, Nick, again, I want to just commend you for the work you're doing because it is very heavy, and I want to take your take on Renee Good's death. Like I remember when that happened, I called my wife. I was almost like a mini panic attack. Like to me, it was one of those things. Like I was telling Octavio, is the news shot heard around the world, right?
Mm.
The way this woman was killed in cold blood, and also the way people have like the way it split people, right? Like the way you've shown you like how bad people can be, like trying to claim that was justified. How what was your first take when you saw that as someone that's immersed in this news and this topic and this new America?
We've seen people shot at before and injured. We've seen people die even when they're running away from ICE agents, but we've never seen a murder in cold blood like we did in broad daylight. And I really think what we saw, I wasn't so surprised on it. For me, it was like only a matter of time before somebody got seriously hurt or killed. For me, it's really sort of an indicator of the attitudes that ICE agents have in America right now. It's like sort of this perspective of try me, I dare you. And that's what we had, and that's what we saw play out in video. We saw Jonathan Ross act like he felt like he could do whatever he wanted out there, and he did. And right now we see the Trump administration, people within his administration come to his defense, even though what we saw with our eyes is really the truth. And we can't have people get into our mindset and tell us not to believe what we're seeing with our own eyes. We need to believe what we're seeing with our own eyes. and speak up and speak out on it. You know, um, the I mean, look, man, it's really difficult. You know, I've seen that video multiple times at this point, and every time I watch it, I see something new. Like yesterday, if you go back to the video, there's a point where even before things escalate, before the debate of whether or not her wheels were turned towards Ross or whether they were turned away, he had his cell phone in his right hand recording. He shuffled it over to his left hand to prepare to draw his firearm because he was ready for things to go down. He was ready to escalate and not de-escalate. And that speaks to the attitudes of ICE agents in America right now. They feel that they have carte blanche and that they could do whatever they want to do and get away with it.
Yeah, it's you know, we very early on said that this was a murder by ICE. You know, we were right there when the administration was starting to um, you know, discuss and put out their misinformation about what had happened. We were very clear about what we saw, and our social media channels blew up with pro MAGA and what I would consider to be anti-freedom comments. What's it been like for you in terms of when you're now no longer this independent type of journalist? I mean, I'm sorry, you're no longer this corporate type of journalist. You're an independent journalist. How's it been like for you in terms of the feedback that you've been getting from your audience?
Well, now they're calling for ICE to come to my doorstep, Octavio. You know, now they're saying that this third generation Mexican American who's been in this country for over 100 years, who the border crossed our family, you know, we're those types of Mexicans. We are from the southwest portion of the United States. And in 1848, it became the US. It used to be Mexico. And now people are online and they feel emboldened to say, you are encouraging people to break the law. You are encouraging people to go out there and record and put their lives in danger, and ICE needs to come pay you a visit. So, I mean, look, man, I'm taking different precautions now. My family does not make appearances on the internet anymore. You know, there is a very deliberate and calculated move, you know, the way I move online now. My mom says I shouldn't be around my kids by myself in case I get detained. And then all of a sudden my kids are, you know, they can't get in touch with the mom. Let's say you can't get in touch with my wife, and where do my kids go? You know, so it's these kinds of precautions that I'm starting to take. And also, and this is not to be poetic or dramatic, but yesterday, or I guess it was the day after Renee Good was killed, my wife came up to me and asked me to give her the context of our attorney and of others in case that happens, because I think it was always in the back of my mind that maybe I would be singled out by the administration because I'm doing things that they don't want covered and shouting very loudly and getting a lot of traction for it. And so I think it would be dumb for me not to consider this as a possibility that the administration would target me and that they would target other independent journalists. I know for a fact, I don't want to take his story away, but I know for a fact there's an independent journalist right now in DC where they took his White House press pass from him because he was very vocal. And so that was at the end of last year. And so now you guys see it. We've turned a corner in this, and it's a new reality in a new world, and we have to prepare for that.
Yeah, Nick, I agree 100%. Like you're not wrong for taking those extra precautions, because we've crossed the Rubicon, right? We're in another place, and every day it seems to be accelerating, right? And again, it goes from the man at the top, and at the top, to the person, you know, at the bottom, right? Who feels empowered to do what they're doing,
right?
And you're not wrong. And one of the things that I find so interesting is, like, on my sometimes on the post themselves, they'll tag ICE. You know what I mean? On the post themselves, right? Like, and that to me is crazy. But I wanted to get into one particular, like, Latinos, right? How so many have, like, really just gone to the other side, right? Like,
yeah.
If you could talk a little bit about that phenomenon, like how somehow they feel that they're not coming for them, like how they're buying the administration line, and how, for real, to me, it's so disappointing. right? That we don't at this crucial moment of our collective history, we don't even have each other's back. If you could just talk a little bit about that.
Proximity to whiteness is not going to save us, man. And I speak from authority on that. I'm a third generation Mexican American. My parents grew up in South Central, went through the race riots, and they were very intentional about trying to whitewash the shit out of me. They named me Nicholas Aaron Valencia, right? I was playing tennis and ice hockey and hanging out. They wanted me in rooms where all the white people were so I could succeed and make everything I could of myself. And then I get shipped off to Atlanta to go work at a major Fortune 500 company. And it's then that I start encountering the Gardner jokes. And I'm the punchline all of a sudden of being the landscaper. And it was then that I realized I kind of got an indication of it at USC, going to USC. You know, I grew up in Eagle Rock in Northeast LA, and I always thought I was better off than I was because we weren't latchkey kids. You know, I had two parents at my house. I wasn't a cholo. And then I go to USC and realize, oh man, I'm not really, no matter how white I try to act, I'm never going to be like these folks from Coto de Casa, Orange County, living in gated communities. And then I get exposed to the real world and go out into a company where I'm the punchline. And it doesn't matter how well I speak English, how good I dress, my education. I got put in Latin America because I'm the brown guy in the newsroom all of a sudden. And so I say all of this to say it does not matter how much you think you could reject where you're from or how dark you are and how white you want to act. People are going to see you, and the darker your skin is in this country and this world, the harder that you have it. And right now, because of the Supreme Court and Justice Kavanaugh, there are these things called Kavanaugh stops. And you guys have dealt with them, stop and frisk in New York for a long time. Now it's nationwide. If somebody has the indication that they think that you're here illegally, and all they have to do is look at the color of your skin or how you dress or the shoes on your feet, and they're going to come and shake you down. Kavanaugh said that it would only be an inconvenience to an American citizen if they were shaken down. So then why was Dulce Consuelo Morales Diaz held for 25 days in ICE custody, even though the feds had her birth certificate? Why are they still fighting those documents? That's the era and this Rubicon, like you talk about, that we live in now. All of this stuff, your support for Trump, your posts, all of these things, they don't fucking care, man. They want to make this country white again. Stephen Miller isn't talking about illegal immigration. He is talking about immigration. Birthright citizenship is up for debate now. That's the world that we live in.
Yeah, it's the world that we live in. I've got to also sign on to what you're saying. You know, my name is Octavio Blanco, but for most of my childhood, I went by Andrew, which was the Americanized version of my middle name, Andres. But and like you, I think my parents were very nervous about people hearing my name Octavio and you know, treating me differently. And you know, and they did, even though my name was Andrew. When I was in high school, my nickname was Taco, you know, which is the essentially the same as a black person's nickname being Chitlins or something to that effect. You know, and I had to in the beginning I had to fight against that, and then later on I actually, you know, embraced it. And when I went to college, I reclaimed my my given first name, Octavio Blanco. And but I wanted to ask you, Nick, about independent journalism and what I would consider to be entrepreneurial journalism. Tell me a little bit about your journey and why it's so important in this time, in this day and age.
Because we're uncensored, man. You know, we're not beholden to any boss. We're beholden to the people that watch us and read us and listen to us. I felt like I used to work for bosses. And, you know, it's like when you go out and get sent out into the field, you only worry in a sense if your boss likes it or if you make slot and it's like, oh, great job. And that just means that like you were at 7:15 and you made slot at 7:15 and your package was 2:30. Right now, it is such a much more purpose-driven mission. You know, I feel like CNN and I couldn't come to terms. CNN, you know, we couldn't come to terms. My contract was up at the end of May. Monday morning, that happened. I was devastated. Monday afternoon, I get a call from the History Channel that puts me out in LA 2 weeks later at the same time that the siege of Los Angeles is happening. And so I took my cell phone out there. Literally, I just took this phone that I have in my hands and I started recording. And the first clip that I posted after I left the old place was 4 million views or 3 million views. And then the first month we did 6 million views. This last week we did 4 million views, you know? So this idea that because I was devastated, man. I felt like I often put my value in the hands of other people, unfortunately. As confident as sometimes as I come across, you know, it's like, oh, they think I'm not good enough, you know? And then the affirmation and the God shot that I got from the world was that not only was I good enough, but I had something to say. Los Angeles got targeted. There was a social justice movement, and my community was being persecuted. That is an intersection with my life, man. I joke that it feels like Slumdog Millionaire. You know, it's like everything in my life was sort of made for this moment and this point. Because look, man, like what shit are you going to talk to me? You know, I'm here in this country legally. I've contributed to this country. I've added value. I made it to the apex of journalism. And this is a choice that I'm making. It's not that I can't go back to the mainstream or get a job in the mainstream. It's that I don't want to. I feel like this is where God wants me. This is where I need to be right now. And I am leaning into this, as scary as it is, as uncertain as it is, as much as I don't have this huge safety net anymore. I'm trusting God and believing that I show up and be consistent, and the world is going to reward me for it.
Oh, amen for that, brother. Because
Amen,
you are
man.
you are fighting a good fight, and it feels like, you know, this moment is what it calls for.
Yeah.
There was an article I read earlier this week in the New Yorker by Jordan Salama, and it was talking about a Mexican family that was self-deporting, right? Because they lived in such fear, and they lived in California, and they talked about our community is being terrorized in a way that, like, and especially if you're undocumented, right? That it is such it's a regime of fear. Can you talk about what people are feeling on the ground in our immigrant communities across this country? Because I think people don't understand. Like, I think we're kind of blind to the pain of others, even within the Latino community.
Where are the don't tread on me folks, led? Where are the people that say this is government overreach? In any other country, it would be secret police target ethnic minority. You have now the vice president going on Fox News saying, we're going door to door. The president of the United States telling Norah O'Donnell, I don't think we've been going far enough. And then it's not just rhetoric. On Friday, we started getting reports of that out of Echo Park, the Los Angeles neighborhood of Echo Park, which is a gentrified neighborhood. It is a whitewashed community that still has a strong element of Latinos. But is it a mistake that they started targeting places that they don't usually hit hard to sort of maybe send a message to the white Americans who are trying to be allies with us, that we're going to go door to door and knock on your neighbor's doors? There was a man who got taken in front of his front yard. I showed up to his door. They didn't get a chance to knock on his door, but that's not to say that they wouldn't. And then yesterday morning, we woke up to reports in Uptown Minneapolis of a family, a Somali family, entire family taken because they knocked on their door. This is what's happening. It's only getting more and more aggressive. They're only getting more and more the attitudes. Like I talk about the switching of the hand of the cell phone of Jonathan Ross to, this is before even things got escalated. They're not there to de-escalate a situation. They're there to ratchet it up. And they feel like no matter what they do, they're going to be protected. And really quick, I just want to say this because I hear this all the time about, we should do it the right way, or they're breaking the law. This is law and order. It's rules for them and rules for everybody else. They have no care or desire of doing it the right way. People are being taken from their green card appointment interviews. People are being taken from showing up to court cases. They're sending people outside administrative immigration hearings to intimidate in hopes of getting you to self-deport. And then once you get in their custody, it's all about keeping you in their custody so that they can make money off of you. It's $2,000 a day. It's like $25,000, $30,000 a person. It's all about money in the bottom line. And they're using terror to sow this fear throughout our country.
And it's so interesting to hear the cognitive dissonance coming from the White House when it comes to protests and freedom of speech. We are hearing about, the protests in Iran that are happening
Right.
this week, and the president saying how if we hear of any shooting, we'll be shooting. Meanwhile, we have protests in the United States, and the United States is shooting. So, I'm absolutely not for violence in any way, shape, or form. But this cognitive dissonance, this ability to sort of speak out of both sides of your mouth and believe what you're saying at both times is incredible. I'm surprised, you know, like you were saying, where are the don't tread on me? I'm also surprised. Where are the people that are calling for freedom and justice, and the and the people who say, oh, the government shouldn't be in my life? Where are those people? It's a real shame when we hear this cognitive dissonance. What is your view on that? And are you hearing that as well, or am I just
No,
imagining
absolutely.
things?
Absolutely. And laws don't equal morality. We had laws in this country that made black people 3/5 of a person. You know, brown people were hung as well. We had people that weren't allowed to vote in this country simply because they were women. You know, I mean, there are people in this world right now, and I don't want to even give their names, you know, oxygen, but are saying that Trump isn't going far enough. You know, that's what I don't understand with this. It's like it's not going to stop at the undocumented American. They're expanding their private prison infrastructure every single day. And you think it's going to stop at the undocumented? They're going to go towards the undesirable Americans. Trump, I did not want to believe this, man. Initially, I think I was telling people because my son's 4 years old. They talk about Trump in school at 4 years old. He's such a big force. And he's like, is Trump a bad person? And this is before he got elected. And I said, you know what? Um, people can be both good and bad. Good people can do bad things. Bad people can do good things. And, you know, some people think that Trump's a good person. And this is, you know, I was telling him before he got elected. And now I don't know what to tell my son because of what I see and the revenge path that he's on. I did not want to believe that his second term, I thought, you know, look, he's a WWE president. He knows optics. He knows media manipulation. He's just going to talk. He never locked up Hillary Clinton. But now he has these people around him like Stephen Miller that are just like, we need to take control of this country. Like Steve Bannon, we need to whitewash America. And he's like, okay, let's do this. Yeah, because the way I've been treated is unfair. We have had Trump on the tip of our tongues for as long as I can remember. You know, I used to leave the back door open with the air conditioning on growing up, and my dad would say, what do you think? Our last name's the Trumps, you know, close the door. He is, and I say this not as a compliment, but he is the best our country has to offer right now in terms of a president. He is a reflection of where we are in America. I started to see him more as an entertainer, and through the prism of him being this WWE, WWF, you know, we grew up with that with Vince McMahon, entertainer, where he knows how to keep the attention of a crowd. He knows how to manufacture and manipulate a message. He knows that optics are so important, which is why when you look up on TV, his cabinet looks like a central casting, you know? And so what he's doing right now is optics for his supporters. He's going after his supporters feel like these people really are taking their jobs. When you go into the Central Valley, there's no white Americans there doing our service workers positions. I'm in a hotel right now. All the service workers here are people of color. You know, there's this cognitive dissonance where it sounds good. Yes, get the illegals out of our country. America first. He takes these morsels of truth and he globs onto them, and people start believing it. And then it just goes too far. You see what's happening out there, Lad and Octavio. I don't know how people can say this is okay, because sooner or later it's going to come for people that you care about. And we struggle from this disease of individualism in this country. And until it happens to the individual, they don't care. But every day, more and more individuals are being impacted by this.
That's an excellent point, and I think it's one that's not talked about enough. That this is a purely optics presidency, right? Like,
Oh, totally.
You know, Ice Barbie, you know what I mean? She'll show up with the hat. You know, she does where I think in Minnesota, she told a Latino, "You're under arrest." Like, it is such optics, and what's amazing in the way you say is the way they control the message, right? It's like they could have done the decent thing and said when Renee Good was killed, hey, we're investigating, but they didn't. They went on offense right away, right? And I think that's really important because you have a whole strata of this country that doesn't get the news, right? Like it's a cult, right? And they're feeding from the trough. How do you combat that though? Like, because it's you're not getting to those people.
Yeah, and I don't try to reach them anymore. When I first launched my independent career 6 months ago, my first guest was a Latino for Trump, Joel Cavazos from the Rio Grande Valley, where there are a lot of Latinos for Trump, very close to the border, a lot of Republicans there. People don't know that. And it was very clear to me as I started in the weeks and months after my launch that they're not reachable. People like that, they may understand and they may have personal conversations with you where they seem like they agree. But I know people in my life who are hardcore Trump supporters, and they're never not going to vote for Trump. They feel like he is authentically himself. Some of them are okay with a third term. I joke to some of them, 4 more years, 4 more terms, because they're that, they're that blinded by whatever he offers them. I am going after people who are disillusioned by politics right now, people who don't vote because Trump thinks that he had a mandate, but there were millions upon millions of people that did not vote, that sat this one out because they felt like they have a choice between the lesser of two evils. So I think the remedy here is to continue to give platforms to people who I think are part of the solution. So there's a huge progressive movement right now. I don't know, for me, speaking honestly, I am of the mindset where, like, I don't know if this country is ready for third party. I don't know if it's just a waste of a vote. I'm kind of with those people. It's like, okay, lesser of two evils, but then if we just choose a progressive candidate, are we just throwing it away? But the fact is there's a movement happening. And so that maybe, that takes off. Maybe, we really start to take a hard look at our political system. The reality is, though, that we're pretty entrenched in how things are right now. And so my objective is to reach people who are not politically involved. My audience went 10 years younger overnight, so it's 25 to 44. That's a very crucial demographic of people. And I think now more and more people are starting to open their eyes to just how brutal this is. And Renee Good's death was a flashpoint for a lot of people because they're able to see it with their own eyes. And then you hear what Border Barbie is saying, and then you see what JD Vance is saying, and then you watch the video and you're like, okay, I could see with my own eyes. And that's what's happening with independent media. We're important. It's not just legacy or traditional media. That's what's happened. New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, all these places, they're going to be there. The fact is, though, now we're important too. And I really take that, I take that role and that position that I'm in very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, Led, I know that you have some very, very strong feelings about where we are on politics, and I'd like you to react because I know that you have some reactions, and I like hearing your reaction because I do believe that you have some very well-formed opinions about this. And the more that I see things happening personally, the more to the left I find myself going. Whereas previously, I've always felt myself to be much more of a centrist. I just don't see myself being able to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just feel like there's much more at play than they're letting on, right? And like the term of remigration, right? Like they really don't want any of us here. They just don't want us. And it's becoming obvious. But going back to Nick, I want to ask you a question, Nick, because one of the things that I find super interesting is that this is just the beginning, right? ICE hasn't gotten all their funds yet, right? So right now we're at the beginning, we're at the cusp of something. Where are we going?
October 1st was a new start date for a lot of those agents, and you saw a lot of the more brutality started to happen, and that wasn't by mistake. You're seeing now these undertrained, underqualified, overly paid people who are out there with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to. I mean, you hear this criticism of law enforcement. I am not anti-law enforcement. I love my school resource officer. We still high-five the cops when we see them. This is what strikes me, what we're seeing with ICE agents is this critique that you hear from law enforcement that they just want to use their guns. They're just out there ready to beat somebody up. That's what we're seeing with these ICE agents. It's like this crop of recruits signed up because they want to be able to be in charge and flex their authority. It's like the worst what we hear about law enforcement. What's to come, man. The undesirable Americans. I told you I'm getting prepared. I have money for bail in case it comes down to that. I have mentally started to prepare myself that this is potentially going to be a bad year for journalism. I feel like what we're doing right now is so important because our institutions have been corrupted, even if the players within the institutions, the individual journalists have not. At the very top, it's all about the elite helping each other out, which is why we're seeing such a, I guess, this summer we saw such an attraction towards independent journalism. Those millions of views are millions of eyeballs. In the 6 months, sure, some of those millions of views are accounts that are watching it multiple times, but we've hit, I think, something like 3 million individual accounts in the last 6 months. That's 3 million individual people who are watching it, right? And so those are local news stations don't even get those kinds of numbers. CNN sometimes or other cable news outlets may not even get those kinds of numbers. And so for me, I'm like, we are important. We have a duty here to serve and to step up, and man, I think sooner or later in any journalist's career, the journalists that I've admired, they've taken a stand sooner or later on something. Edward Murrow did it early on against advertising at CBS. Walter Cronkite, also at CBS, did it years later when he spoke out against the Vietnam War. Peter Jennings did it in 9/11, after 9/11, when he got emotional and patriotic. And more recently, Anderson Cooper did it during Hurricane Katrina, where he showed us that it was okay to feel as a journalist and cry on air. I am just doing the same thing that all the journalism greats before me have done. And I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but like it angers me, man, that like our community is being persecuted and attacked. And people don't see that, man. Like I just don't understand it. It angers me so much because I have people I know who are in custody, and back home, I see Tricia McLaughlin say, "Oh, we have 600,000 Venezuelans that could just go back to Venezuela now that Maduro is gone." Is Cuba next? Like, what is it going to take for people to open their eyes? And I think that for me, I see that, and rather than bury myself under the covers here and just sleep all day because it's depressing, that I say, I need to be an action man. I need to be out there fighting this with my voice, with the God-given talents that I've been given and the position that I have to speak up for people who cannot speak for themselves.
Amen, brother.
Amen to that. And so, Nick, look, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know that you've taken time out from your family, and I know that that how important that is. So I don't want to keep you on. I want to let you have your day with your family and kids. And I really do, commend you and support you also as far as I can, because we're on the same journey here. We're both able now more than ever to utilize our voice. I remember when Trump #1, the first things that he said was that the Mexicans were evil and the worst of the worst, and our employers at that very early stage didn't respond the way that they should have. They just let it go for much too long, and now look at where we are. So, Nick, thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys, man, and I'm so sorry. Led, go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you.
No, I was gonna say, I just want to make sure you let everyone know where they can follow you, and thank you so much for this work you do, because you're right. Like I've been very emotional myself. This is important work. It's heavy work, but it needs to be done. And our people, our ancestors deserve nothing less. So thank you so much for doing this work, brother.
When I hit my knees and prayed before I left CNN, my higher power told me, be prepared to go out on your own. And when I hit my knees and prayed today, I hear to keep going. And so this stuff is affirmations, man, to be able to reach your audience of tens of thousands of people, to connect with people that care. Like, this keeps me going. Because, guys, man, I'm sorry to get emotional, but this is really fucking hard, man. This is hard work, but it's important work. And so for you guys to make me feel seen is really important as well. So gracias a ustedes, man. I really appreciate the time here. And you could follow me at Nick Valencia News, at Nick Valencia News. We're across all platforms: Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram, and my Substack. We have a show every Tuesday and Thursday live at 3 p.m. Eastern, where I interview lawmakers, activists, ICE widows, people who have been impacted by this Trump mass deportation policy. We're taking a stand because somebody has to. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, brother. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, man.
You too. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and to everyone listening, make sure you follow Nick Valencia News, right? This is no longer, we need to be informed. We need to stay on top of this. This is ongoing, and it will only get worse. And all we have is each other. Octavio, man, this is an amazing guest, man. Like he was inspirational. I feel a little better, a little more ready for the fight. And again, we do have a fight in our hands, and it's local. It's very local. I talked to you about the time of the amount of hate I get on my DMs, right? And it's a lot, you know what I mean? And it causes friction, you know what I mean? And I get mad too. I'm from the hood, you know what I mean? Like I want to go like, yo, meet me on 192nd, like, you know what I mean? But you can't do that either. But it is tough. So thank you for getting such an amazing guest, man. This was I think what I needed today.
Yo, it's what we need to hear. It's what we need to be a part of. Some people may question, like, oh, you're Uptown Voices. Why are you talking to somebody who lives in Atlanta and Los Angeles? Well, the fact of the matter is that, yes, we are Uptown Voices. Yes, we talk about the local issues. You can check us out every Tuesday on our channel, because we talk to the people who are making a difference in this community. But Black and Blanco is part of Uptown Voices. Black and Blanco, we hope, represents Uptown's voice. We hope that Black and Blanco is where you guys can come and say, you know what, I'm from Uptown, but I care about what's happening beyond the borders of my own community in Upper Manhattan. I want to hear about what's going on across the world. I want to hear what's going on across the country, and I want to be a part of this, right? And so, yeah, I think it's super important to be here doing what we're doing, and I am also super excited to be going to the protest today at 1:00 down on 60th Street. We can make our voices heard in real life, because yes, we're here behind our screens, and I think that's super important. But we also need to be out there in person, to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. If you've never been to a protest, it's an incredible feeling. The vibration that happens there, the energy is really something else. And I encourage everybody who's frustrated with what's going on to go out there peacefully and let their voices be heard.
Yeah, I mean, and also to the point is like, this is Washington Heights, this is Uptown, this is Harlem, this is Inwood. We are frontline immigrant communities, right? So we need to be talking about what's happening around the country, because it's happening here as well. And again, I think that it's about also, learning from our brothers and sisters across the country, see what they're doing, see what works, see what doesn't, and knowledge sharing, because the same ICE officer that's in Minneapolis is going to be in New York City, or is it going to be in LA. It's the same people, it's the same apparatus. So I think it's super important to knowledge share, and to continue to record, to share, to keep like to coalesce. I think it's super important. And I also want to say, which is interesting, like, we also need some time for joy, and my wife gave me a great Christmas present, that she bought me tickets to go see Big Daddy Kane last night. You know what I mean? And what was important about seeing Big Daddy Kane last night, and I must speak from the perspective of my wife, right? Like my wife, she likes to call herself the chief operations officer of the home, right? And as a mother, right, as she's really distraught by this, right? Like it hurts her. And for a time being, for an hour or so, we got to forget about ICE and Trump, and we watched Big Daddy Kane in the city winery yesterday. So like I'm just trying to say that, like, we do have to take this time, for joy, right? I think some people are just too blissfully unaware. They don't even know what's happening around them. But for those of us that are immersed in this, for those of us that really care, you do need a little bit of time to try to find some joy and some solace, and just because you need that to keep moving, man, because we have entered another phase of this, and we haven't hit the bottom yet. We're still going.
Yeah, and to that point, for the people uptown in Washington Heights, Inwood, Harlem, we've got such a vibrant community with so many events occurring. We've got so many beautiful parks, even in the cold weather, or even in a day like today. Take advantage of those things. Go for a walk, explore, be a part of the cultural events that are happening. Be a part of NOMA. Be a part of Inwood Artworks. Get involved in the community board. Get out there. organize a cleanup of your block. And to that, I would say also, I'm going to do a little promo. In March, I believe it's March 30th, but as the date comes closer, I'll be sharing more. We're going to be, we actually secured a New York City Parks mulch truck to come to the corner, to come to Cabrini Boulevard and put mulch in some of our tree stumps below 181st Street. So we're going to be taking care of those trees. So I encourage everybody who feels sort of like the world is spinning out of control to take a minute and stop and think, where can I have some control? It might be just in your own day and go out and take a walk. It might be to organize something with your neighbors. But whatever it is, take that moment to exercise some control, to try to find joy, get out, maybe get your hands dirty in the dirt. Maybe go out and take in some sun when we're blessed with some sun like we are right now. I appreciate what you're saying, Led. And I also appreciate that this new administration that's coming in seems to be very cognizant of this idea of joy.
Yeah, and I think what you said is super important, right? That community is the answer, right? And what we need to now is strengthen those bonds. I think that's more important than ever because we need each other, right? We don't exist by ourselves, and we need to we need to stand up for each other. And again, like I hate to keep going back to like the page, right? But I get hate, like, I think some people want me to only put like pretty pictures of Uptown and stuff, right? And I'm not supposed to speak about what's happening in my community. But again, this is a frontline immigrant community, right? It would be a dereliction of duty if all I'm putting is pictures, right? I'm going to use my platform for my people every single day, right? And that's why it's really important. We cannot hide. You're not hiding. We can't. We got to keep moving forward. Keep looking out for each other. And also, I think that one of the reasons that we're here is because we let too much slide, right? And we'll have that dumbass Trump friend or cousin or uncle, and we let them say the nonsense, and we didn't want to engage because, hey, my man hasn't read a book in 25 years. Like, he doesn't know anything. Why am I even going to engage? But I think we need to engage because sometimes the loudest voices, is the one that people listen to. So we got to keep pushing our message. And again, sometimes it really is ridiculous for Latinos to be supporting this. I think John Leguizamo put it best. He says, Latinos for Republicans is like roaches for raid, right? It's like, how do you not, like, I just don't understand how you think this is going to be good for your community. And now that you see it, how are you cheerleading this on? Like, there's so many, it's not just trolls, right? Like, I get real people posting like, yes, ice baby, and they're destroying our community and you're cheering it on, So I say all that to say, like, we need to be really clear, and we need to keep supporting each other. We need to keep strengthening these bonds because the travails have just begun. This is just the beginning. ICE is going to get a huge infusion of billions, right? And Vance already said they're going to start going door to door. I've already heard of counts of them going door to door. So imagine door to door. That's Nazi shit. That's Gestapo shit. That's brown shirt shit. And I told my wife during the first term that if Trump was ever able to like basically put money in the hands of the worst of the most reactionary white people. If he was able to do that, we would be in serious danger. He didn't get to do that his first term, but now he's doing that, right? He's giving them money to be a part of this. He's giving them money to go hunt down black and brown and immigrants across this country. It is being financed and organized, and it is a war on us. And I think people need to realize that. People need to wake up. We need to with love, of course. I love what Nick said about, I'm not trying to reach the Trumps no more. I'm not trying to reach the maggots anymore. For me, a lot of those people are dead. I'm not trying to reach you because if you're seeing all this and you're still on that side, what can I do? I used to a lot of times engage with people. DMs, we used to go back and forth because I wanted to understand how you could support the tyrant. But at this point, I don't want to understand anymore. And I'm not going for them. And I think you have to reach for the people that care and then for the people that are unaware. Like, you have to continue to hit that mark and continue to to reach out to them, because with unity comes strength, and we can no longer fuck around. We need to get really serious, because the war being waged on us is very serious.
I agree, and I think that we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves, because the fact of the matter is that we're still at the very early part of this campaign. Um, now ICE and that whole agency has billions of dollars to play with, and we've started to see that they're building out their culture, they're building out their ideals, they're building out what they're about. We saw them recently use white supremacist music in one of their advertisements to recruit more ICE agents. So truly, they are going to try and continue to build their narrative, and they're unabashed about their desire for a white nation. It's not really a mystery anymore. And those of us who are watching, our audience who are still on the fence about whether or not this administration is doing the right thing about immigration, I'm not going to have that conversation, because the fact of the matter is that our immigration system has been broken for a long time. So it's been impossible for people, even if they were to try to do it the right way, to actually get in and save themselves from the circumstances that they're facing in their countries, circumstances that are often being that were often caused by the United States imperialism, which we're seeing again. So, and now, even now, when we have people in this country who are immigrants who are trying to go the right way, no, they're being taken from their immigration proceedings. So they're not being shown that the right way is protected. They're just being taken, and now they're going door to door. They're building their culture, and let us not forget that they are also shooting people, whether they be immigrants or non-immigrants, in cold blood, in the middle of the road as they exercise their First Amendment rights. It's a disgusting turn of events, and it's unfortunately also just the beginning. So we should all continue to be aware and brace ourselves.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's time to meet the moment, right? We are not powerless, right? We have power, right? We just need to recognize it and organize and agitate, right? Because one thing we like, we also have the power of the dollar, right? You know what I'm saying? Latinos, immigrants, people of color, we spend a lot of money, right? And that money is power, right? And if you're running ads for ICE, we could fuck with you too, right? And I give you a perfect example: Spotify. Spotify was running ads for ICE. The people lost it, and they just canceled the subscription. ICE is no longer Spotify is no longer running ads for ICE. Same thing needs to go for Telemundo and Univision, like especially Telemundo and Univision, right? You have made everything you are is because of Latinos, right? There would be no Telemundo and Univision without Latinos. And then you come on and you put ads for ICE. That's a stab in the back, right? That's a stab in the back. But again, we have power. We can organize against it. And again, that's what we need to be vocal. We need to tell the abuelas, the tias, listen, stop watching it. They are our enemies, right? They are not taking care of it. And if we do that, we can't change hearts, but we can hurt pockets, right? And really that's what we can do, and we need to do it. And we need to start really, really coalescing around each other. Community is the answer. But it's not going to be easy, right? There will be more deaths. This is just the beginning. But I think if we remain steadfast, we will get something out of it as well. We will recognize that we have power. We are not just going to sit here and take it, And I need our community to really, really wake up. We need to wake up. We need to really get together, because what's coming is not going to be for the weak. But we're not weak, right? My mother came from Dominican Republic with nothing, right? And she raised me and my brother through the worst of New York City, the crack era, right? So we're not weak people. We've when we put this country on our back, you know what I'm saying? And the reason America is because of immigrants, is because African Americans, is because those other people that no one ever wants to show love to. So it's like, we also need to understand that we have power, and we need to exercise that power, and we need to get together. We need to do anything we need to, as every day. There's no more days off for this. No more days off.
And if you ever question the power that we have as a community, I would direct your gaze to Dyckman Street. I remember in 1998 when I moved to Uptown, Dyckman Street west of Broadway was barren. There was only two businesses there, and they were both Dominican immigrant businesses. One was a bodega, and the other was a clothing shop. East of Broadway on Dyckman Street, everything was Dominican. All the businesses were Dominican. There was a fly club that was Dominican. There were restaurants that were Dominican. So look at Dyckman Street today. It's thriving. You know, east of Broadway, west of Broadway, it's a go-to destination for people all over the city. People from downtown come uptown. People from the Bronx come to Manhattan. People from New Jersey come up to Dyckman Street to have dinner, to listen to music, to congregate and have fun. And that's dollars and that's power. So that's what we have. We have that ability, and we can direct it where we feel it needs to be directed. And when the administration and when our government is fighting against that, we need to stand up and show them that we do have power. So, you know, I'm so happy to be a part of this community. I'm so happy to be here, to be able to bring you these folks. I want to let you know, Tuesday we've got a great interview coming up. What do you want to let the people know a little bit about who's going to be on the show on Tuesday?
To be honest, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Shows, I don't remember. You put me on the spot.
Jackie Aleman.
Oh, Jackie Aleman from the Washington Heights Board Chamber of Commerce. Jackie was. We have a great guest coming, guys. Jackie was another one of these guests that what they do and who they are is the same thing. And she's a tireless fighter for the businesses in our community, right? And again, going back to that, like, we really need to see ourselves in the light that we are, right? Like, we are hardworking people that make this country run. And I think she's a perfect example of that. And again, we just need to keep fighting that good fight, because the fight, we didn't want this fight, but it has been brought to us. And I think one of the things I also want to talk about is the importance of this is also the conversations that we don't have that we need to have, right? That we're not talking the way we need to talk, right? And I want to say that, like, when he talked about proximity to whiteness, you know, I thought that was a great point to make. You know, a lot of us sometimes think, you know, that if we just talk with the perfect diction, you know, if we just go to the right schools, if we just, you know, do this or do that will be accepted. But I just want all those, they'll never accept you. You'll never be white enough to join MAGA. You know what I mean? They'll use you, right? But they don't accept you. You've never heard Trump shout out Latinos for Trump, right? And I don't even call them Latinos for Trump. I call them Lambones for Trump. You know what I'm saying? But they've never given them a shout out. What are you doing? Like, you're selling out your community for people that don't even give a fuck about you. So I just think that there's conversations that we need to have as Latinos, as immigrants, that because I think too much of us, we have a narrative, but we just don't know it.
And it's really hard to have those conversations, especially now with how charged up our politics are and how angry we are with one another. And I think rightfully angry from the left anyway, because our people are being shot and killed with impunity. You know, it's a shameful state of affairs. But I think that people like Jackie, people in this community who are putting their money where their mouth is, making sure that people's lives are improved, that people's existence is seen, is so important. So we're going to continue to do this. We're happy to have you here in our audience listening to us. We're happy for your support. You know, it's something that we're going to continue doing. It can be emotionally draining, but it's really important work. And we're doing it because we love our community. We love our people. We love our country, right? We're not doing it because we don't love our country, right? People want to make it sound like we don't love our country. That's absolutely not the case. We love this place. We live here. We want this place to thrive, and this place can only thrive in unity with everybody in unity, you know? So, yeah. So go ahead.
No, and I want to say to our audience, on IG, please go to our YouTube page. Please subscribe. It helps us out. And also, like, the last live, right, when we were talking about Renee, and her untimely passing, we got so much fucking hate, and I think it's like bots. Right, but it was like the hate was crazy, and again, I really wanted to fuck with them, right? Because it's like they were like, "Hey, you guys should. I'm gonna report your page," and I wanted to say like, "Oh, I'm sorry, the truth triggered you, snowflake." Right? These people talk so much shit, and then they're like, "Oh, my feelings are hurt." Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So to our audience, go to our YouTube page, put some comments towards for us, because it's like the amount of hate that we're getting on YouTube. To me, I don't give a fuck. I mean, it doesn't intimidate me. I don't even think they're real people. But it's also like it's such an operation, right? It's like one comment, and then we got like the same comment, by 13, 14, 15 other people, and it's an operation. But again, like let's continue to coalesce and show love to one another. So subscribe, comment, tell your people about it. Right? We've been rocking now. How many episodes? We're like 40 some odd episodes deep now, right?
This one, if we're counting both Uptown Voices, the interviews that we do and the live episodes, this is episode 41.
It's amazing, you know what I mean? And we haven't missed a week. You know what I mean? This might seem, I love to talk shit, but this is still a huge undertaking for the both of us, right? We both have lives, families, things we need to do. But we take time, multiple hours. You do a lot more time on this than I do, because you're doing all the back end. So, show that love, spread that Uptown love, like our pages, and tell people about us, right? Because this is how we grow. And again, like, we're not stopping. I'm not stopping. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mother came, like I said, my mother came with nothing, and she's not stopping. My mother's still rocking out. So I'm gonna keep rocking out for my people, man, because this is the time to do it. If I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't feel good or right about myself. And I want to say this, like, I've lost hundreds of followers, because of my stances, but then I've gained thousands of followers. So I don't look at it even as a loss, as a realignment, right? If you hugging Trump's nuts, that's good for you. I'm not fucking with you. You know what I mean? That's on you. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's so weird. Like, I put a post on my story about, like, what are you gonna do when the day that it happens? Are you gonna celebrate the day that it happens? And then, like, and that's when the trolls get triggered, and they're like, and their feelings get hurt, and it's like, yo, you're standing up for this monster who's waging war on our community. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And those are the conversations we need to have. That we come with these ridiculous notions, because maybe you're light skinned, you think that you're white because you might have been white in your home country. You're not white here. You know what I mean? And that's not attacking white people. I want to shout out all the well-meaning white people, all the progressive white people, like especially in Minneapolis, who are fighting for their neighbors. Shout out to them. I love them too. But I'm saying to those black and brown people that think that if they just behave white enough, they're going to be accepted. No, too, you're going to be rounded up too, dumbass. And again, I don't even care. Go your way. Go to a MAGA rally if you think it's safe, and see what happens to you. But again, we need to just hunker down, close ranks, and join arms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So look, Led, I think we've been on for about an hour, and I gotta say, I gotta get going. I got a few things to do.
You got a protest to make.
I'm going to that protest. I hope everybody else, I hope others will make it out there. I thank you, Led Black, for allowing me to partner with you and for making this such a great success. And I look forward to more success in the future. And let's keep doing this. Pa'lante, my brother.
Palanta, brother. And one thing real quick, I'm gonna go today to go see The Voice of Hind. It's a movie about Hind, the young woman, not even a woman, she was a kid that was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza, pinned down, and basically she had the wherewithal to call the Red Crescent. And so the movie's made based on those tapes, and they reenacted a dramatization. So everyone, you should go see that movie, The Voice of Hind.
Awesome. Voice of Hind. All right, my brother. Much love.
See you soon. Yes,
Peace.
sir. One.